It was me Red Heart, I played a little prank. Madame Marcella sits back lazily, a smirk on her face. Jorge and Vlad sit in silence. So I beat that dude up for no reason, Vlad says. Vlad says oh well, not much he can do as an employee anyways. He enters a room with a man. I'm real proud of you. I heard what you did yesterday. The man grins. The man says you did great. Something had to happen while I was gone.
A rough-looking man Burley leans against a wall, smirking at Vlad. You got some tips selling candles yesterday, right? We need some money right now, but we're all suo broke. What the fuck are you trying to do, Burley? Vlad says. Burley says I'm not asking you to just give it to me. He grins. It'll be a fair trade. Vlad says trade. Burley says if you give me some change, I have something to give back to you. A pickpocket. Burley holds a boy up by his hair saying, and you recognizing. Burley holds up the pickpocket, a scrawny kid bruised but alive. I'll give him back for 40 silver. He spreads his arms, acting generous. That's a really good deal. What about his fingers and ankles? Vlad says. Burley says I just taught him a light lesson. He grins, patting the kid's head. He's real fresh. Vlad stands silently, dropping a pouch of silver. The coin punch hits the Gorund, and Burley says I knew I could depend on you. Vlad says J-Sut, kill them next time instead of looking for me. Burley says don't be like that, we're gang members, not murderers. Vlad says you're scamming your own family co-worker. He tilts his head. See, I told you Vlad would take the deal, Burley says to his fellow gang members. Ned, Vlad mutters, standing over him, arms crossed. No anger, just cold disappointment. I'm sorry, Vlad, I tried to play it safe, Ned says. Any bones broken? Vlad asked, looking at Ned with piercing eyes. Ned says and no. Then fuck off right now, before I break some, Vlad says. Ned says oh okay. He hesitates for a second. Thanks, Vlad. Vlad doesn't look back. Ned runs off into the shadows. Vlad is disappointed. It'll take longer for his goal of 5 gold to be realized. We cut to a dock of some kind with a bright blue sky, an ocean with ships around. But that kid was lucky. He didn't lose any fingers. Whale says, we are introduced to a guy there is no name, so we'll call him Whale. We see a flashback of Vlad and Gemina as kids, and presumably their older sibling has their fingers cut off and ankles cut, effectively making them disabled. Whale says actually, I heard the candles were messed with. Vlad says you already know about that. Whale says it's been a while since the rumors went around, but nobody seemed to really believe it. The madam makes the candles, but Marcella isn't the type of person to do that, you know. Vlad leans in, voice low. That's what I'm saying. Jorge already seemed to know too. They're not the type of people to do that. But if they did, Whale finishes the thought. There must be some good reason. Vlad replies, what kind of reason? Whale says there's a 90% chance they need money. He pauses. Urgent money. Be careful, Vlad. He leans forward, voice dropping. There's only one need for them to try and get cash as quick as possible. A war against another organization.
A shadowy figure steps into the slum. Money Bug. Money Bug's here in person. Vlad thinks the preparation for organization war might be with Money Bug. Money Bug's thugs say, oi brat, didn't you hear what the boss said? Where's your boss? One of them men points directly at Vlad. Vlad frowns visibly and glares at them. Vlad plays dumb, saying he is J-Sut, a candle seller. How should he know where the boss is? The thug stutters with rage, you little fucking bastard. One of the thugs say, if you don't know, go fucking find him. Smashing the candles in front of Vlad. The candles fly up. We then see Vlad and the thug face to face. The candles hit the floor. Multiple patrons and works stand around gasping. Gemina covers her mouth. Vlad starts speaking, oh my. All these expensive candles are now broken. Vlad shrugs, defeated. Well, no more sales today, I guess. One of the thugs say, this little fucker. Does he not get the situation? We see the man standing over Vlad as he inspects the broken candles. The thug says, what? Vlad answers instantly, I said get your feet away. With visible anger on his face. Hi young fuck feet, he says, taunting the thug. The thug calls Vlad a bastard and cocks his leg back in a kicking motion. A fight is a microcosm of war. The thug's leg swings toward Vlad. The intended battlefield. The planned circumstances. Vlad pulls out that same wooden sword from before. Prepared a chilling calm in his cold blue eyes. Vlad strikes the thug's ankle with extreme precision. The thug lets out a cry, before falling back onto the ground, and with bold determination, Vlad stands holding his sword prepared for a fight. Only with that is victory assured. He strikes the man with the wooden sword again, this time across the face. The Bacala's unchangeable rule. The winner stands up high, and the loser at the bottom. The confrontation explodes this fucking "how dare you" in front of U.S. Money Bug Calmer, almost amused, watches Vlad with new interest, saying to his men, "Stop." He hold out his huak hand, making them halt. "I really like this guy." Money Bug says, "I only have one arm, so I hope you'll be a bit more understanding of the noise." Vlad replies, "I don't discriminate against the disabled." Money Bug laughs. He says, "This crazy fucker. Let's have a private chat later," he says, trying to intimidate Armik, but Armik is standing as calm as ever, both their auras clashing. Money Bug says, "Oh, which bum did I take away again?" Vlad's expression doesn't change. Seeing how you can't remember, they must have died early. Someone off-screen calls out, "Money Bug, look what's happening here." It is revealed to be Jorge and a group of people behind him, saying, "If you had told me you were coming, I would have grilled some meat for you." "Come on," Money Bug says. "It's not like we're that close to each other." Jorge replies, "Since we have guests, let's MVO this upstairs." Money Bug says, "Let's skip the meat. Do you have any good liquor?" Jorge says Madame Marcella is not one to disappoint when shopwing guest hospitality. Money Bug says, "Well, in that case, let's have a taste." "Geez, I almost died there," Vlad says with sigh of relief. "Ugh tilde, how many did he break?" Vlad says. Money Bug calls out from behind, "Oi, rising star." Vlad turns to look, and Money Bug says, "Your boss didn't hold back on the compliments. See, I'm a good judge of character." He continues saying, "Once you get tired of that burning smell, come work for me." He spreads his arms, "Wouldn't mind a lad like you." Vlad responds to the thug's proposition, calm and practical. "I don't mind working here though. They feed me, pay me, and let me sleep." Money Bug laughs, "Kahaha. We can do that too." He holds up a gold coin, twirling it, "for the candles," he says, tossing it to Vlad. "A gold coin," Vlad says in his mind. Vlad replies, "This is too much." Money Bug then says, "Work for me, and I'll give you as many of those as you want." Though Vlad knows his name, Money Bug introduced himself to Vlad. Money Bug stands up, wiping his mouth. "That was delicious. We're leaving." Jorge, Money Bug says. Vlad thinks in his mind, they look happy. Did things work out well? Vlad looks up, surprised. It was Jamina calling for Ham. Jamina says, "Jorge is calling for you." We cut to Vlad and Jorge sitting next to each other at a bar. Vlad sits silently. He looked down onto the table. Jorge says, "I was planning on giving you this later, but the circumstances call for him to pass it over early." Jorge warns Vlad, "Keep it on you at all times." Vlad's face shows a hint of surprise. He thinks in his head, "I could tell from the mood in the room. Things didn't go well." We cut to a scene where a bunch of men are sitting, tension thick in the air. Vlad is thinking that Jorge and one-armed Jack's conversation was a catastrophe. Jorge tells Vlad, "Don't sell candles from now on." Vlad says, "Then what else should I do?" "Collect money, patrol the area." Jorge says they got a tip about their enemy is bring in people form outside. Apparently, they're mercenaries who used to be knights. "Like you?" Vlad says questioningly. Jorge looks down. "That's right, like me." Jorge says one-armed Jack led an overwhelming number of men. We then see one-armed Jack, or his nickname Money Bug, with a large number of people behind him. But even for him, the former knight Jorge was a difficult obstacle to overcome. After all, a flock of sheep is no match for a whole world. His expression darkens, but by bringing in swordsmen on the same level as a knight, we see a knight, a signal of the impending future doom. That balance is wrecked. Jorge says, "It's true that we're at a disadvantage." He turns directly to Vlad. "That's why we need you, Vlad." Jorge says, "I'll be giving you your first mission soon, Vlad." Harvin, a disabled man without fingers and without even the ability to walk. Harvin sits at a desk, writing with difficulty but writing. With his clever mind, he taught himself language and mathematics, and using that, he is now working under Captain Hoover. Jorge says, "Seeing Harvin, I realized you learn through effort, and that learning takes you to higher places." We then see Vlad RM see swinging his wooden sword.
We cut to Vlad looking surprised. He hears a voice in his head saying, "You might want to narrow the angle of the elbow as you swing down." He stood silently for a moment. Vlad says to himself, "This is bullshit." Whenever he swings, he hears a voice in his head. He claims that everything began 1 month ago, when he was struck by a bolt of black lightning. He thinks to himself, he needs to buy holy water before thinking about buying a sword. He tells himself to ignore it, saying the more he acknowledges it, the more it will cling to him, telling himself to focus. "Just do your best," Vlad thinks to himself in his mind. Saying, "Focus, all of your mind and strength. Strike down," he says to himself. The voice in his head comes back, saying, "Narrow it." We then see him perform a lightning-fast strike downwards. He thinks to himself that this strike was different. Earlier, I was just swinging about. But this was more like a...
Hello Geisa official recaps here again. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.